in the morning as well, done by GE Digital. We move on to the last session of today, which is the technical panel discussion revolving around smart asset management in the era of COVID. And for this, we've actually gathered some really good experts from the representing a couple of oil and gas companies here. To start off, we have Mr. Yerem moderating the session, who is representing GE Digital here. We have Mr. Majed representing SATORP. We have Mr. Fayez Kharbat representing MESA International. We have Mr. Marwan representing ADNOC Onshore. We have Mr. Eyad here from ARAMCO and Mr. Abdullah Alhazza from SABIC. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. I would now hand over the session to Mr. Roman, my director for Aldrich International, who will give a word of appreciation.
Very good afternoon to one and all. As director of Aldrich, I would like to thank and welcome all the honorable panelists, Mr. Majed Al-Shangiti, Chief Information Officer from Saudi Aramco Total Refining and Petrochemical Company, Mr. Faiz Kharbat, the Middle East Chairman and Board Member for MESA International, Mr. Marwan Alshamsi, Manager Asset Integrity from ADNOC Onshore, Mr. Eyad Buhulaiga, OT Digital Transformation Projects Manager from Saudi Aramco, Mr. Abdullah Alhazza, Process Improvement and Digital Transformation Consultant from SABIC, and our moderator, Mr. Yerem Davtyan, Senior Industry Principal, APM from GE Digital. Thank you all very much for sparing your valuable time and making yourselves available for this session to share your valuable insights for the industry with all the attendees of the event. And Aldrich is honored to have such an expert panel on asset management. And I'm sure the audience will also definitely gain from your expertise. I wish a fruitful and stimulating discussion for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roman, for your kind words and introducing everyone by name. Yerem, I think I'll leave the session now for you to start the discussion and suggest that you introduce everyone again. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, dear panelists and dear attendees of this wonderful session. I'm honored to be part of this wonderful event, and thank you very much to Aldrich Organization for organizing this and for handling this event. My name is Yerem Davtyan. I'm with GE Digital, and I'm Senior Industry Principal within the Asset Performance Management domain. And today, our subject to discussion will be the smart asset management in the era of COVID-19. By all means, we're going to touch asset management a bit of the outside of the scope, not only about COVID-19. So we will have fruitful speeches and discussions. And by all means, I'm very honored to have a great expertise here present with me to discuss this particular subject. Mr. Majed Al-Shangiti, Mr. Fayez Kharbat, Mr. Marwan Alshamsi, Mr. Ayat Buhulaiga, and Mr. Abdullah Alhazza. I think before we start, I would like to invite our respected panelists to say a couple of words about themselves as part of the introduction, and basically to just say a few words about your backgrounds. Mr. Majed, I would like to invite you to go first, please.
Hey, thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. It's an honor to be among all of this panelists and being part of this. Engineer Majed Al-Shangiti. I've done 11 years in the petrochemical industry with SABIC, where we witnessed the going out from the mainframe to the ERP solutions, and witnessed the transformation of the business processes in SABIC under Al-Fanar environment. Then in 12 years in the mining industry, where we started, or we could say that we are the pioneer of the phosphate industry in Saudi Arabia, from the mine to the product, which is the AB, the ammonium phosphate fertilizer, and witnessed also the deployment of the aluminium industry in Saudi Arabia, again from the mine to the final product, or to the can sheets and to the automotive, and where things are fully automated in the rolling mill. And then the last occupation was leading the transformation of the support services to the shared service business model. And 6 months ago, in July, I started my career in the oil industry with SATORP, leading as a chief information officer, and having the digitalization part of our strategy and the convergence of the ICT and OT, inshallah. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mr. Majed. Pleasure to have you here with us. Mr. Fayez, would you like to go next, please?
Sure, my pleasure. My name is Fayez Kharbat. I have been really in the industry for 30 years, coming from different companies. I worked for Honeywell, Aspen Tech, prior to joining Saudi Aramco. I am on the digital transformation, part of the digital transformation team within Saudi Aramco, focusing on digital solutions, AI, data analytics, and others. At the same time, I have founded really the MESA Middle East chapter, I would say 15 years ago. And since then, we have been holding technical events such as this one once a month in the region. And in fact, early December, we're going to have our number 100 event for the region. So I'm really proud to mention that. And at the same time, I'm a board member of MESA International based in Phoenix, USA. MESA is a non-profit organization focusing on covering the domain between the plant control and the ERB as well. So we focus on the MOM, management operations management, manufacturing operations management business layer. That's all for me. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Mr. Fayez, and pleasure to have you with us today. Mr. Marwan, I would like to invite you to go next, please.
Yes, good afternoon, ADNOC Group. And on the onshore part, you know that we have unified our branding as ADNOC. So we are now called ADNOC Onshore. Our business limits on the onshore part where we explore and export oils. I started my journey in this energy field since 2001 as a corrosion engineer. I climbed the ladder from corrosion engineer to team leader to manager corrosion inspection. Then I extended my experience or my career to cover the entire integrity, not just corrosion inspection, where we are looking now at the integrity of our facilities. We're talking about more than 3,500 flow lines, more than 300 transfer lines with the other equipments, rotating and static equipments. Here in the corporate here at the technical center, we are the technical authorities of developing procedures, guidelines. We are the process owners and looking after the fields of deploying new technologies, deploying new innovative and digitalized innovation ideas, where we always try it, pilot it, and if it sees feasible to us, we deploy it. Nowadays, 2 years back, we are working hand to hand with the ADNOC Research and Development also. So the wheel is moving even before the pandemic, and the pandemic came and just give us a sort of a push to accelerate only the move towards AI and digitalization. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Mr. Marwan. Great pleasure to have you with us. Thank you. And Mr. Eyad, I would like to invite you to go next, please.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eyad Buhulaiga. I am been working with Saudi Aramco for the past 18 years, mainly in the automation, integration, and the digitalization, even before it's been called digital transformation and Industry 4.0. I'm responsible for the operation technology program management. I have more than 8 projects to manage, mainly with the objective of transforming our operating facility and to reach the ultimate digital maturity, or what we call digital mastery, for all of our operating facility. It's my honor and pleasure to be part of this great panel. Thank you very much.
We are honored, Mr. Ayat. Thank you so much for the introduction. And the last but not the least, Mr. Abdullah, I would like to invite you to introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, thank you, Yerem. Thank you, everyone. My name is Abdullah Alhazza. I started my career with SABIC in the engineering within the manufacturing business, working on the process improvement and lean initiatives, trying to really, enhance the maintenance work processes we have. Then I moved to supply chain, where I overlooked the value chain creation among the company. And in the past 2 years, really was engaged and fascinated by the digital transformation that we are going through, participating in multiple projects. And in the last year, I've been working as a data scientist, leading multiple digital transformation projects, where we try to disrupt, the manufacturing processing, trying to really create a new solutions, innovative solutions that will help the organization to grow in the future. It is my great honor to be sitting virtually next to all of these, awesome panelists. I hope we have a very interesting discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullah. Thank you. Honored to have you with us. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your series and rounds of introductions. We would like to basically move forward to the subject of our discussion. And it's been a great event so far. We are honored to be the ones who are pretty much closing this event up to day 3 of the AMACS. So we come as the one of the probably summarized important subjects here. And we've basically noticed that throughout the days, there have been some amazing topics that have been discussed about the cybersecurity, about the digital initiatives and transformations. Today, the whole day has been dedicated to asset performance management. We've had a presentation early in the morning by 2 of my colleagues, Paul and Akram. They've talked about the smart assets strategies. And later, we've had another colleague of mine, Jared, who spoke about the predictive analytics and predictive diagnostics. And as this panel as a summary, I think we wanted to basically have a look at the bigger picture of where exactly the asset management is, why it's important, and why we basically do need to consider discussing that. So as we all know, of course, in today's environment, and specifically in the year 2020 that we're facing today with all the challenges, all the markets are basically at the inflection point. So all of the businesses around the world, including the oil and gas, especially, the whole of the energy sector, is at the critical juncture at this point of time. We face a lot of macro challenges and micro challenges around the world. The renewables, they've got to basically steadily cheaper and make up for the a big portion of the fuel mix that is offered in the market today. We have the supply pressure from declining oil prices, and that has put basically tremendous pressure on some of the oil and gas organizations. So there are a lot of changing factors, and while elevating our organizations with the right mix of talents, tools, knowledge, and lean operational processes, it is critical for us all to strive to the next era of providing the value to the multiple various stakeholders, including our investors, including our governments, employees, communities, and of course our customers. With this in mind, digital and the whole digitization, it plays a critical part in these operations. And we can see some of the studies that were conducted, including the World Economics Forum. They run a study to quantify what does digitization mean for the industries, right? And they wanted to basically put a number against the value and the cumulative value at stake from the digitization across the industries within the course of the few years. And across the various industries and across the various verticals, it was very evident to see that the software can provide a lot of productivity and efficiency through the smarter decisions on reliability practices, condition-based maintenance, and equipping the operators and the team members with the right mobile solutions to do their job effectively from anywhere. And from anywhere, of course, being one of the key words in our today's environment. And here are some of the metrics that we that comprise where this value comes from, right? From reduction of downtime, from reduction of maintenance costs, from reduction in the start fuel, from improvement of the productivity. And just to say more, we as GE Digital have held a round of discussions and a round of series with our respected organizations that we work with. There was a very big, well, there are very few series of rounds of what we've called the voice of customer discussions with over 100 companies that we have conducted throughout the 2020. And right we see in front of us, this is the key elements that industries and organizations have highlighted as the key important points that they want to focus digitization on. And here are the key elements that they translate to as the value to the industry. Our learnings have validated that organizations do want the digitization. They want some out-of-the-box solutions with predefined content. And as long as the value demonstrates the quantifiable return on investments, that's what makes those projects within the digitization of asset performance management as a success. So I would like to essentially introduce and then ask us all to share some of our experiences around the asset performance management, what we do, what our organizations have done so far, and what we have seen as the successes, as the changes, and as the various elements of the successes. So I guess at the first point, I wanted us all to discuss what does asset performance management mean from your organization standpoint. And by here, what I mean is, to what extent do you believe the asset performance management as a process should be treated as an integrated enterprise work process that stretches and goes into all other relevant areas what the organizations do?
Area to get in the business to get to look at digitalization, as what Mr. Ayat said. Now it's all encompassed under digitalization concept. Earlier it was Industry 4, all of the artificial intelligence. If you put all of them, now the companies are hungry to do the pilots in order to see how can they do it, how can they benefit from it. So it has to be a part of the corporate, part of how they look at the assets, how to look at the management of the asset. And I believe now there are assets offered in the market where you can get it as a service. You don't purchase a pump anymore. You could purchase the service of pushing a liquid. Okay, and it will be fully maintained and connected, and all of a sudden you'll find somebody telling you, I have to do the repair maintenance to give you more. But the concept is it's not anymore concepts or nice to have. It's part of the DNA of the organizations, in my perspective. And if anybody looks differently, I'm encouraging them switch and think after COVID. That's what I could think about.
Awesome, that's a great insight, and specifically interesting points you mentioned, Mr. Majed, about the cultural change there as well. We'll certainly build on that. Thank you very much for your insights. This is a very valuable data points here and data sets. Let us share here some more experiences. Mr. Marwan, can you share some of your beliefs on where asset performance management sits in the organization?
As an exporting company, he is an onshore, ADNOC Onshore. We've been focusing on the asset performance management years ago, even before the pandemic. Since the crisis in 2016, the oil crisis as well. Our new CEO, when he came on board and he was assigned as the CEO of ADNOC, the first two words he taught us is agile and resilience. So we took time first to understand what resilience means, what agile means, what do you want from us exactly. The year after it comes, we start to understand what resilience means, what agile means. Then he pushed to have a research and development division within ADNOC. Then he pushed to have a technology hub where we opened the platform or the portal to all over the world. All the vendors who has any suggestions, any recommendations, any new technology that he thinks it will add value to ADNOC, a group of companies, you are welcome to propose it, put it there, and we will rather. So asset performance management is something now it's becoming the backbone of producing oil. In order to produce, in order to maximize and to have a bigger return of investment, I have to take care of my assets. I have to manage, I have to monitor my performance. and I have to put the corrective action plan, right, in order to maintain and prolong my assets. One of the initiatives that we have done here also, we unified ADNOC group of company. We are more than 14 companies. We have unified our maintenance platform, which is the Maximo in the old day. Now we went to one called One ERB, which is the SAP. This is to integrate asset performance management with the chain management, to integrate chain management, asset performance management with the contracts, with the HR, with the manpower thing, so to come up with one unified language. This is my point of view of the asset performance management. Now also, as I said earlier in my introduction, digitalization, sensor, artificial intelligence is there, but we were driving those words slowly. Then when pandemic came, it's like it gave us a leap. We will watch if pandemic was out there. Let's assume pandemic was not there. We have not heard about it. We would take another 5 to 6, 7 years to reach to where we are now. The pandemic gave us a leap. It's like traveling. We traveled over time, and in 2-3 months, whatever was impossible 3 months ago, now we are doing it as impossible. So we are going towards this direction, and we are going, as my brother Majed says, going towards digitalization and integrating, collaborating all stakeholders or relevant towards asset performance management. Thank you.
That is awesome. Thank you very much, Marwan. So the integration of all these processes supported by the digital technology to link them all together is a priority for ADNOC. That's very important to hear. Thank you very much for that. And Mr. Ayat, maybe you could share some of the experiences of ARAMCO to see how you guys position asset performance management within the perspective of the company's processes.
I cannot agree with Mr. Majed and Mr. Marwan more about the importance of the asset performance management. I mean, it is now instrumental business process within the enterprise because it will not only impact the asset life cycle, it will actually go beyond. It will improve the availability, the profitability, the reliability, and the overall operational excellence for the operating facility. So it's not an option anymore. It's the way of performing and how we should move from just being reactive and waiting, as Mr. Majed said, that run to fail, into being proactive and looking for areas of improvement, how we can take the maximum out of our assets, how we can postpone the downtime and or the planned maintenance, moving from just being time-based into being condition-based and monitoring the asset health so that it can help us and just evaluating when we really need to do maintenance. It should be condition-based maintenance, and reliability-based is not going to be either time-based or just based on the recommendation of the end user. So all of these, changes that happen in the industry had helped, as Mr. Marwan mentioned, in giving us a quantum leap and pushing the envelope much harder to deploy these technology in a faster pace.
Very well, very well. Thank you very much for that, Mr.
I like one word that Eyad just mentioned, which is it's not an optional anytime anymore. It was an optional. Now it's a must. It's a mandatory. Either you take it and stay in the field, or you can leave, go to other industry.
Which doesn't necessarily mean that other industry will accept it, by the way, right?
Depends on it.
It's a very good point. Very good points as well. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Mr. Abdullah, maybe you could share some of the SABIC experience from this perspective, please.
Yeah, most definitely. I would agree. So more organization will be considering, out of the box kind of thinking. How can we improve asset management performance using maybe, let's say, machine learning algorithm where we can predict the failure of the asset, and have this kind of perspective, detection of the failure. So it is going on that field, and I'm very eager to see how this will lead in the next few years. I know that our industry is still lagging behind when it comes to utilizing machine learning and artificial intelligence and reliability and asset management, but I see there is a lot of development going on the field as we speak.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Abdullah. So it's a great summary, of course, and I'll build more a little bit later on what you've said about the out-of-the-box solutions, because there are very interesting points that could link to what you've mentioned. And certainly for us, it will be also very interesting to hear this opinion on this subject from Mr. Fayez, please, as you represent this organization here. Share us your experience, please.
Well, thank you very much. In fact, what can I say after all these panelists? They really represented the leaders, world companies in the world, right? From ARAMCO to SABIC to SATORP to ADNOC as well. So I believe they summarized it very well. I only can add when it comes to technology. Everything we talked about here, very inspiring. And one main reason why this is happening today is because of technology. Digital transformation, the technology that brought in the IR 4.0 technologies, from artificial intelligence into data analytics, into connectivity, IoT, all that made it possible for us to take the APM into the next level. I believe, and this is what we are seeing within MESA, that the entire industry is shifting into a new paradigm shift when it comes to conducting their APM. APM is not anymore just predicting where your failure is going to happen and how the health of your assets anymore. It's really connecting the entire spectrum and the entire life cycle of your facility, from small equipments to large equipments in real time, in connecting that with
digitization and connecting all elements together to have a unified picture. So we've obviously received some great inputs from you gentlemen here with regards to stating that APM is not about one methodology, CBM or whatever any longer. It's an enterprise workflow. It has to be connected with various workflows and business processes within the organization. It's not a choice any longer. It's a must to do. I mean, because if a company doesn't, it's going to be behind. But with all these trends, there's also another interesting, I'll use that word, things that we see happening in the 2020. Well, COVID obviously being one of them, with a lot of the macroeconomical changes that are also happening that will impact the energy sector one way or another. So I wanted to ask you to share your ideas on what process changes did you see, or maybe you enforced, or maybe you followed within the organizations when that happens from the asset management standpoint, right? Because previously, I mean, we know we did the risk assessments and we thought about the risks of our assets, and we looked at the strategies, how we should address those assets, to make sure that they're healthy and up and running and not exposing our company to any more risks. Now things have slightly changed. Is there something else, some of the other risk-based approaches that you do take with all these changes? Would be great to hear your ideas from that standpoint. Maybe Mr. Marwan, maybe I would invite you to share your opinion first on this point, please.
To be honest, we cannot deny there's no change. There's a change. We've been conducting and using the risk-based inspection for years now. The prioritization strategy is the one is changing. We used to, when we go under risk-based, and we use risk-based inspection for static equipment, RCM for rotating equipment, and we go and fix. We still, in between, use the time-based. In between that, we still having this time-based thing because we have resources, we have budgeting, so we need to spend the budget, we need to make this resources working. So we used to do it all. When I have a basket of threats or risks there, I used to do it all. We used to put all the mitigations and fix them all at once to get rid of them. Now with this pandemic and with the lockdown and the accessibility of contractors cannot access the field because of the lockdown, people who's trapped in their countries cannot come in, guys who stay in the field, stay in the field. It helped us, this pandemic situation helped us to prioritize our even risk based on consequences. When you do the risk, it's always in the likelihood and consequences. So we focused on the consequences and how it will affect our people, how it will affect our finance, direct finance impact, how it will affect our reputation, and based on the existing current resources. At that point of time, we prioritized and we overcome this challenge. This is my point of view of changing. As I said, it's because we were in that journey, and I'm still emphasizing and strengthening on most of the companies were there, working on this toward the same path. It's kind of going instead of riding a Corolla, we took a Ferrari, and we have to speed up the process, and we have to go quickly and try to overcome this challenge. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mr. Marwan.
Despite the cost of Toyota versus Ferrari, Marwan?
It's what?
It's easier for them. They have the Ferrari land there.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's a good input, because if you with the limited resources, if you're prioritizing based on the limited resources, and you have to know where you dedicate them first, you don't have the luxury to do everything at once. Of course, the cost and return on investments element, I'm pretty sure, is somehow considered there. That's a very great insight. Mr. Ayat, what kind of experience can you share with those changes and restrictions? Did anything organization from the risk and standpoints have changed in the way how you treat your assets?
To be honest, the basis of design that we followed is different. Again, we are focusing on being proactive. We don't wait until a disaster or, God forbid, or a pandemic happen, so that we can optimize our mode of operation or our asset performance maintenance. Yes, we take into consideration the risk-based inspection. We take the impact on the production, on the reputation, but we do this all the time. That's our basis of design. Okay, so it's not that we are waiting for the pandemic to happen. No, from day one, this is what we do. Our objective is to achieve the operation excellence, and I like what Mr. Majed mentioned, is that to sweat the asset is to ensure that we get the maximum out of our asset, regardless whether if we are in pandemic or not. So the proaction versus the reaction. Being proactive is the base of design, the methodology that we followed to ensure that we achieve operation excellence regardless of the situation.
Very good, very good. So you have already been ready. Well, you have been ready for this changes, and you've already built a resilient structure that allowed you to easily flow within the restrictions that are being applied.
Yes, that's the methodology and the basis of design that we are following. Yes.
Very good. Thank you for this important insight, Mr. Ayat. Mr. Majed, is that a similar experience that you can share based on what's been happening with SATORP?
Well, the maintenance people or reliability team should answer such detailed questions. For me, as a CIO, I am overwhelmed with extracting the data that allows them to make the decisions. That's where my role plays a major thing. So now the requirements of the dashboard. So we need now to aggregate as much data, pull it all from the systems that's never been talking to each other, put it somewhere where you can create your KPIs to look at things proactively. Did this change the pandemic and consider the strategies toward it? Yeah, definitely. It looks at it. You go back to your material, your spare parts strategy. It hits all the whole chain. Okay, even it reaches to your supply chain. I mean, we have all witnessed during the COVID there no flights. So what if your stock level was and in the anticipation that it's only a flight from the nearest warehouse, it's gone. Okay, it's not anymore there. So you need to revisit back to your all of your connected processes to the ABM methodology in the supply chain. So that's what I'm saying. which is big. It's like the levels of the warehouse, your spare parts, your capital spare part strategies, all of those in order to ensure, yes, I'm going to do ABM, because ABM itself will not be the answer. Okay, so there is a conditionally monitoring, I need to do that. But because of the pandemic, one of the things that learned by the organizations, no one will supply it to you. You have to find another way. So that's what I looked at it from a CIO perspective.
Yep, very good, very good. So that brings an interesting point then. So Mr. Majed, you've mentioned that obviously from the CIO standpoint, data aggregation, visualization, dashboarding, this is something that you see as a priority, which builds on top of Mr. Fayez said previously, when you've mentioned that the different data points needs to be connected. So now that we've all put forward the idea of the centralization, unification, and effectiveness of the operations, and being lean, of course, with the very strong impact of the data that we need, and we actually have available, we just need to connect and visualize that. Now, with going back to the COVID and other elements that have impacted our operations in 2020, did all these requirements, requests that you were discussing right now, did that change the way how you put your organizations put the long and short-term goals right now? Marwan did mention that you need to accelerate, and you have accelerated the changes that needed to happen, right? So with whatever surprises, good or bad, 2020 brought to us, how did that impact the change in the decision-making process, in the goals that the organizations are currently putting in front of each other? Mr. Eyad, maybe we could invite you to start first on this question, please.
So having these proactive studies and integration and paving the way for the foundation to make the decision. The way that we designed it is, again, all of these strategies are living strategies. So we are not waiting for something to happen. Usually the RPI or the risk-based inspection is run on a periodic basis, maybe every 1 year or 2 years, based on the mode of operation, the material of construction, and whatnot. You go and you run the RPI, and then you get the results, and then you action upon it. The way we did it is that we integrate the RPI with the RCM, with the historical maintenance records from the ERP, as well as the real-time data from the historian. We put all of this in the mixer, and then create a living strategy to help in making better and informed decision. Our objective is to provide the right user with the right data and the right time to make the right decision. And the decision is not only just in a firefighting mode, but no, the best economical and informed decision to be done or to be taken.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
And
thank you very much.
And if I may add to that, Yerem, really what 2020 did as well, it completely, I would say, it disrupted the way even organizations take a decision. I remember just before 2020, for us to approve any spending, it has to go through many different cycles. And if you are talking about a bigger amount, then it will take longer. What 2020 did, it really aligned all strategies, like Eyad said, where these strategies have to be alive strategies and ready to answer and deliver under any circumstances. 2020, with all the bad things that really it brought to us, it brought lots of good improvements to our business processes and the way we operate our plants and our operation. I believe it made everybody aware that, again, technology is there for us to help us to make our process and our operation more efficient, more agility, more aligned, and competitive as well. Thank you.
Very good points. Thank you very much for that input, Mr. Fayez. Mr. Abdullah, is that something you could share based on yours and SABIC's experience?
Yeah, sure. I would like to echo my colleagues and their points. And when we look at the COVID-19 situation, it has organization rethinking their crisis management strategy and risk and worst case scenarios, whether this is from financial perspective, profitability, asset management, etc. So this is really making us look at our industry from different perspectives and new lens, like emphasizes more on the system resilience and effort that we will ultimately, improve operations. Although, COVID-19 is not directly impacting asset performance, it has helped us, to help identifying what kind of functions are essential in our industry, with APM for sure being at the top of this list.
Excellent points. Very good. Very good. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Abdullah as well. Mr. Marwan, anything you can share from your experience?
Well, in my experience, and maybe I cannot say it loud, but and I'm taking COVID-19 as a friend of mine. Yes, indeed, it brought challenges to the industry, but in the same time, it gave us opportunities in a golden plate. It says, people in the industry, you need to stop what you are doing now and the way you are doing business, and you need to think differently. Now, what is our role now as people working in such industry, in energy and oil and gas industry? What is our role? Now, our role is to think how we sustain our business and how do we have a resilient future. Now, COVID-19 is one lesson. And I always consider COVID-19 as an auditor, a cold eye or third eye reviewer or auditor. COVID-19, Corona came and it audit all the companies. What are you doing? How are you doing your business? How are you running your APM? And then this is the gap analysis for you, and you have to work it out. So, how it affected our decisions? Because our decisions were made on that certain period of situation. I have, for example, 100 employees working in that specific site. I have this number of contractors, I have number of resources. That decision was made in a current situation. That current situation is not anymore there. So definitely we have to think differently. We have to run as COVID-19 came and it initiated, what do you call it, an optimization process now. Now you need to think optimization, and you need to think how you close all these gaps. As Corona came and said, you have all these findings, go close it. How you close it? Of course, definitely it's artificial intelligence. Now, when all countries locked down and people held in their countries, it was, to be honest, it was a nightmare. But fortunately, as I said, the foundation, the basis of most of the companies were there, where they were ready in a few months to have this working from remote areas. Now we can communicate through, like now, we are communicating through Zoom. Now, if we were before Corona, you would call us, come to Dubai, let's sit in one hotel and one venue, call everybody, and we will enjoy the catering, the food, the lunch, dinner. Now we're not enjoying, but we can communicate. The guys in Saudi Arabia and UAE, everywhere. So this is Corona effect. This is one of the findings. Otherwise, I remember when we used to go to our IT department, what they say, we say, let's use their cloud. Let's do cloud. Let's do conference calls. They said, no, security, too much. We cannot do this one. Now they were forced. So when the 2 days of this workshops or this conference was about cybersecurity, APM, cybersecurity work together. Because APM, in order to work, you have to trust your data. You have to trust your vendor. You have to trust your cloud, that it will not be breached. It will be confidential, encoded or encrypted, whatever, in order to have this confidence for your management to go and tell you, Marwan, go install sensors in the wellheads. Go install fiber optics in your pipelines. Let's have this software to do your dashboard. Let's monitor our performance. So maybe I don't have to say it, but I say thank you, Corona.
Well, I'm glad to see somebody, getting this positive outlook.
You have to take it positively.
Yeah. Thank you for that input, Marwan. Mr. Majed, would you like to share some of your experiences here, especially with the elements that some of the colleagues have discussed, please?
Let me continue from where Mr. Marwan finished, because he ran to us as an IT department asking us to do it. And if we were not ready and agile, you wouldn't be now connected. Okay, so thank you. After Corona, thank the ICT for the support. We've been trying to convince the people, but COVID allowed us to do that. So, but it's still, I think, when I come to the industry, and I would like to leverage the concepts of the ABM and all what we are aiming at, we will come back to the challenge of the existing infrastructure, which is not open up. If you look to the number of sensors connected, the way that the architecture have been built, it's been built for the previous stuff. Now, moving forward, where we would like to look at the convergence. I think this is the second convergence in my life. The first one was, which I witnessed, was the PABICS to the voice. Now it's called ICT, it's not anymore. So I witnessed when it was DBM, data processing, or DBC, data processing centers. And then we moved to the IT, when we migrated from mainframes, Maximo, all of those stuff, to mainframe, so from mainframe to ARB solutions. And then from now we are converging and bringing an OT to the ICT and under the digitalization. And now you see CDO, Chief Digital Officer, where you want to encapsulate all of that. I believe now, even with post-COVID, there are two things will happen. We still have the challenges because it's not an easy to go and change in the plants. You need to go through a management of a change, MOCs. So this will be a challenge to scale up the digitalization initiatives that you are having. That's very important. People shouldn't think that it's easy, that they can go. And now management, it's like a shock to post-COVID. They would approve, but now they would go back and close back. And now, okay, why? Because we are a challenge. So here we will be, we need to, if we would like to continue momentum, is to jump on the ride and make it more of a institutionalized approach toward all of those digitalization initiatives, taking the concepts of the ABM. Because I believe now most of what I came across are still in a proof of value on a certain scale, but it's not spread everywhere. So if I look to my strategy down the road to 23, I still see that need to be mapped, and we need to ensure there is, we are turning this into a money generation. All of those concepts, ABM or operational excellence and all of that. It's not just about a cost, and that's the issue of it. If that's how I look at it on a longer term.
Excellent. Well, that's a very good overview, especially now that you're talking about what happens in the future, Mr. Majed. That leads us essentially to precisely the next question that I wanted to discuss. So some of us have mentioned that within this environment, they didn't really experience much of the change because they've had operational excellence places put in the first place. To the other angle, some of us did mention that yes, there will be some changes that we're doing right now as we speak. So some of the, whatever the changes we do, we prioritize the inspections differently, or we get our architecture ready, or we think more about the cybersecurity. And of course, certainly, as Marwan correctly said, we don't meet in the lobbies of the nice hotels any longer, to share the nice lunch, etc. But that, at some point of time, is going to be over. COVID is not going to be, there forever. And I know that from some of the angle, this is our friends because it pushed us to do some changes. But here is the question. If we believe that these actions, these changes that we're doing right now, we need them to happen. When the COVID is over, can you please tell me, and I'll invite you guys, of course, to speak one by one, what changes will be permanent for you? What changes, the ways how you adapted today. When the COVID is over, on some of the changes we'll say, well, thankfully this is over, I can go catch my flights again, meet my friends in the hotel. But from the asset management, from the risks, from the prioritization, from digitization standpoint, there will be some elements that you're going to say, well, you know what, that actually worked very well. I'm not going to change it. I'm going to keep that permanently. So out of all these small lessons learned, if you want, that this happened over the course of the past few months, strategically, out of all the, what will you keep as sustainable, resilient change and things that basically, you know, worked well and you would like to maintain for future forever, not necessarily with the short-term outlook there. Maybe Mr. Abdullah, I would like to invite you to speak first on the subject, please.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. So when we look at the post-COVID-19 pandemic, I believe that most organizations will somehow go back to the normal situation. However, I think we have gained, a tremendous experience, and we have tested and tried the new things that we would like to keep as an organization. We all know that, manufacturing facilities in general are strict and firms, and they follow regulations and rules and standardization in general. But I think during the pandemic situation, we became more flexible and resilient to disruption, which we allow for a bit room of innovation. So we would like to, I think what I would like personally to see is we allow for, room for improvement, where we can have remote monitoring for the engineers instead of being in the field, monitoring the assets, doing their studies. They can do this from a remote location, which will eventually give us an opportunity to have also different kind of talent and outreach globally. We don't think about only, what we have available in the region. We can outsource some of the services, or maybe we can, rely on global experience in some of these. Also, remote management and better business continuity. Once we implement this kind of changes, I believe that it will allow us for a better performance in general for our organization. However, we will still have the challenge of the old infrastructure that most of our companies has. Usually, I would rely to what and echo what Majed has mentioned earlier, and the point that we are doing a lot of unifying, trying to have a centralic and one source of truth of the information. This kind of project usually takes time. However, once we have this kind of capability within the oil and gas industry, I believe having a flexibility of monitoring and understanding and doing the studies remotely should be an option. And I've seen a couple of companies in the United States, they are using virtual control room, where especially this is helpful when we have offshore sites. So you have people, you don't need to have a helicopter moving people in and out from the site. You can do these kind of things using virtual technologies.
Very good points. Very interesting. Thank you very much, Mr. Abdullah here. This is, you mentioned something which I fully agree to. And Mr. Ayat, could you perhaps share some of the ideas based on your organization experience? What things you will do after all this stuff that happened differently, permanently?
I think I totally agree with Brother Abdullah, is that the concept of digital twin, or the digital representation of the assets, and the avoidance of having to be on site, this is something that is there to stay. It's not something that it's only developed on a temporary basis. It is something that, in my humble opinion, needs to be institutionalized and used as the platform for achieving operational excellence within any operating facility. As Abdullah mentioned, I mean the fleet management and the remote operation, and the ability for the original equipment manufacturer to tap into the historical record of the assets and provide advisory or recommendation or corrective action. These are things, in my humble opinion, are mandatory, not only during pandemic, but for all the time. It will improve the profitability, the reliability. It will optimize the effort. It will reduce the time to response, and it will help in achieving the overall operation excellence for the operating facility.
Very good. Thank you very much for these insights, Mr. Ayat. So digital twins and remote operations capabilities, this is something that we would like to keep permanently, absolutely, for even after the pandemic is gone. Mr. Marwan, is that something that you would agree to, or maybe some other ideas you would like to share with us, please?
I'm sharing the same experience. Within ADNOC here, we learned about working from home philosophy, that not necessarily I have to have all employees here in the building. And this is, I guess, the situation with all companies. Now, even though while we're speaking, I have a few of our employees that are working from their countries, actually from Russia, Egypt, everywhere. So I guess this one will continue, because this has showed that business, as long as you have, it's a simple equation. It's a business continuity without jeopardizing business continuity, plus cost optimization without jeopardizing HSE and asset integrity, equal maximizing the profit. So based on our organization, working remotely is something I guess it will continue. We have changed here the working cycles even now for our site employees. We used to have two cycles, short cycle, long cycle. Now they are all almost long cycles. This is maximized, minimized their exposure to others. Continuing, of course, digitalization, piloting new technologies. This is something, as I said, we used to do it in the past. Now we are giving it a little much focus, and even the research and development division within HQ. And to my knowledge, they have even increased. They have allocated much budget and money in order to make it more attracted to others to come and recommend their technologies. That's all from my side.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Marwan. And Mr. Majed, is there something from? Sorry, did someone want to?
Well, I wanted to step in and add to what Marwan started. What really COVID did, Yerem, it really opened our eyes into how we can do our work in a more efficient and faster, more agile, and at a lower cost as well. In many of the things Marwan mentioned, really, we are really saving money. Reality to it. We found out in many organizations, we found out that maybe we can run with, I would say, 80% of the workforce that we have today. So really, COVID did make our operation more efficient and more lean, I would say. Having your employees, again, remotely connected to you real time and performing. In fact, what COVID did, it made people even work more.
Yes.
From anywhere, from any location, at any time. Believe it or not, I know Eyad and I, we are both in ARAMCO, and we connect at 10 p.m. midnight time. We receive emails back and forth, and people are doing it, and they are happy. Our bosses never tell us work over after 4 p.m., for example, but we do it because we are all connected, and that's what IoT did. It's connectivity, and it really connected not only the equipment, but it connected people and process as well.
Yes.
So what really COVID brought many things that are gonna stay after COVID is gone. And these are the areas I believe operations now, the senior management in any company, they have their eyes open, wide open. They always were fear. They had the fear before, and maybe I'm sure, again, I talk as a MESA while the other four panelists with me represent really operation companies here, operating companies. I believe that senior management in these companies, they always thought can I do remote workplace? Can I do XYZ? Can I use drones to check the inspection of my equipment, right? And they had so many thoughts in their brains, but they did not have the courage to really step into it because it's disrupting the operation. It's going to disrupt my operation. And I remember, in fact, this is many years back when I used to again work before ARAMCO, working for Honeywell or Aspen Tech, when we go and try to offer our services and technologies to companies, they would say, well, we have been running for 50 years without your technology. Why do we need it now, right? Especially if it is expensive, right? Today, this you will not hear anymore. People are after, how can I make my operation sustainable? And they are afraid of the next wave of COVID or similar things like COVID would come. So show me the way. How can I use the technology to make my life easier and more sustainable and keep my profit, if not even making more profit in this situation? Because believe it or not, we have done, and this is again back to Saudi Aramco, we have done projects during COVID in a much faster way than even before. So really, I believe COVID, what it brought to us, when it's all over, I don't think we will leave what we learned behind us. I think we will take it on and move forward with it and try to make it even better.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Fayez, for this valuable input as well. That's important.
Mr. Yerem, allow me to jump in.
Of course.
And just to pull the discussion to another two things, because I would like to use the forum to talk about this. Although, yes, I'm a technology guy and I'm looking for how the technology, it hurts me when I see somebody filling a paper. It should be automated through your phone and all of that stuff. But two things. I mean, I would like really that we both, the COVID and the technology did not bring happiness. There is still, and not everybody took it the way that we took it. The lives disturbed. Even my home setup, I left my birds in the cages. I had to take them out in order to make my office suitable, because the CEO, when it's my birds. I go there and enjoy hearing them while I'm working. No, the business interrupted my personal life. Now our homes even got interrupted because we turned them to classes and this office.
Right.
And not everybody was able to take it. I mean, thank to Allah, I'm living in a villa, but the others are living in one flat room with two rooms. I mean, you could hear the teachers, and you could. So it's not everybody was able to afford the technology in order to say yes, we are happy. It did not bring happiness. A friend of mine passed last week inside the work. It's a pressure, stress. So I would like really to not to have it like that. And also, when we look to the operation excellence and all of those business cases, I'm an advisor to a university college. When we talk about it, and I have seen it in so many industries, the business case talks about the FTE, full-time equivalent reduction. Example, what Mr. Marwan said, instead of flying people in and out, I know that's a safety. By the way, in the mining, where you go and mine in the middle of nowhere, we have unmanned mines where only the equipments, the machines get in, purse these rocks and pull it out. It's unmanned, okay? But when we look to from a college perspective, we are contributing to the unemployment in a way. I'd like to use the forum. I said, COVID forced the whole globe to admire the technology. We need to shift the way that the youth are thinking about. It's not anymore a job. It's about other disciplines that we need to go and invest on robotics, go and invest on the software developments. Think about it's not only you would like to learn the mechanics alone, the principles of mechanics. You need to learn also the IT and how it support the technology and how it support that. I'd like really to take this forum to remind the people about the impact of the technology. And I know that ABM and how we are doing the operation excellence, I'm paid for that. That's why I'm on this seat. But on the other side, we are influencing the lives of the other indirectly. which we need to remind the people about it. The pressure that we're creating, not everybody took a pandemic, not everybody is able to go and work from home. Some staff came to me and said, please, we need to go back to the office. So please consider those dimensions. We are human at the end of the day. SATORP has people as one of its value. I need to think about that.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's thank you very much, Majed, for adding those. And so I guess it would be logical now to ask the whole panel the question. So with all the limiting factors that we have considered, with all the new opportunities that we've discovered, with all the new requirements and expectations that we would see coming up from the future. So what good looks like? What does the new era, what does the new norm from the new reality, if you wish, from asset performance management standpoint would look like, both from digital angle, from organizational angle, whichever way you would prefer to answer that question. What basically good looks like? Maybe Mr. Abdullah, would you like to contribute on that? What do you think good looks like?
Yeah, I will talk in general about organization. I believe and we are in a situation where, really organization facing a lot of challenges, especially in the financial part of it. Especially in the oil and gas and the petrochemical, the prices are really going down in the past few years. And, coronavirus is not helping the situation, honestly. But in general, I think disrupt or be disrupted. There will be a greater sense of urgency to digitalize operations, internal working processes, the data usage that we are doing in every day, and how we interact with our contractors and partners in general. So organizations should, really focus on these kind of perspective. I believe COVID-19 has been a catalyst for this kind of movement. What we have done in the past few months, as Faiz mentioned, other colleagues in the panel, was really amazing. We really surprised ourselves by what we are capable of doing. It has been a lot of challenges, yet we are capable as human beings to overcome these challenges, find new solutions that can help us, whether it is in operation or asset management, and also from technology perspective. I see that, maybe Majed can elaborate more, that we are faced a lot of challenges. Being a data scientist, usually we are at the end of the chain of digital transformation. We have the people working on the infrastructure and the cybersecurity, trying to pull everything together, where we are eventually trying to analyze these data and build a predictive models that can help the companies, grow and find deficiencies within our process. But again, I believe what have done in the past few months is tremendously amazing. I hope all organizations can carry out the same momentum, and hopefully that can be our outlook in the next years.
Excellent. Very good vision and expectations here, Abdullah. Thank you very much for sharing those.
Sure.
Mr. Marwan, something you could add from your expectations of what good will look like and what the new norm would look like?
Yeah, the good thing here, or the good thing that we would like to keep post pandemic, is the full adaptation of a virtual working environment. This is, to be honest, and I see it as a good thing that we have managed to control. Enhancement of risk-based APM approaches. As you said, we were reluctant, hesitant to go full-fledged sometimes in some areas. Pandemic helped us to look beyond those hesitations and apply it in areas where we did not expect that we will apply digitalization or artificial intelligence. So those are the two good things that, to be honest, we would like to continue doing the full adaptation of a virtual working environment using the MS Teams, Zooms, other means. And because, when you do this one, it's called kind of connecting the whole world in a minute. Now, recently, while sitting now for the past, we used to work from home since March up to July, I guess. They sent us home. From July, we started in batches to come back to the offices. Now, since July up to date, November, I have never heard my office phones ringing. I even forget what it hears like, because everybody's calling in MS Teams now and Zooms. We can connect, we can see you, I can see you, I can discuss with you, we can share documents, we can share a lot of huge data by only connecting while sitting wherever you are. So this is the two good things I would like to keep.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Mr. Ayat, maybe you could share some of the experience and expectations, rather, of what the new look would be for you and for the company.
As the saying mentioned, is not the fastest or the strongest, it's the most adaptable. So the ability to adapt to have the resilience and to create this mode of operation where innovation is in the center of the activity is something that I believe, in my humble opinion, that need to continue. As Faiz mentioned, instead, on the contrary, instead of slowing down into the innovation and digital transformation, on the contrary, we are going in the fastest speed cultivating the innovation within the company, and this is something that I believe should continue.
Excellent, great points. Thank you, Mr. Eyad, for that. And Mr. Majed, something that you could share from SATORP's vision on with regards to what's the new norm would be and what it would look like?
The norm is that you work from home. You work virtually. You're absolutely right. That's changed. Also, we from the teams that we are able now to conduct the projects and attend courses virtually. I mean, anybody would come asking, "No, I need to attend." I can't think of it. It's you can attend virtually. It's a very good, very effective, saving a lot of things. Those are becoming the norm to our business. I believe, and I will not talk about the risk methodology itself, but I think the COVID pushed us to, we always say, think out of box. I think COVID showed us the box. Now we know where to think out of it. Okay, so now the approaches to the strategies is going to be different. I cannot really be sure about what the maintenance department's done specifically to recommend. I would keep that as a competitive advantage. However, they have their own ways. It's not anymore the way that continued to be prior to COVID situation. And the lockdown and the curfew. That's are very important two things.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I've taken a lot what you've said about COVID showed us the box. So if you want to think out of the box, you need to know where the box is. Love it. Thank you.
Yeah, you keep asking. Think about the box. Okay, show me the box. I will think about it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And Mr. Fayez, from what you see happening in the industry within your counterparts and organizations that you work with, is there anything you would also add to what the future norm may look like? I think we have lost Mr. Fayez. The picture is frozen. Oh, no, you're back. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yerem, you were asking, right?
Yes, sir. I was just saying that if there's anything else you wanted to add on the subject about what the new norm and the new good future looks like.
Well, indeed. I mean, we heard our panelists. They made many good things we're gonna see coming forward. But I believe that how the good will come forward after COVID is more efficient operations, more agile and real time. Everybody is connected. I believe we will use again. We will remain to use the technology, and we will even. I see some of the operating companies. They have partnered with manufacturing and solution providers to start developing what's next. So this really, again, MESA witnessed that this is happening. And technology providers and operating companies are teaming up together to develop what's gonna come next in technology. This is where operating companies always been taking the back seat and leaving manufacturers to develop their solution for them. Now, operating companies are really excited and saying, no, we want our people to be part of this development because we know so much. And so really, I believe in the next 5 years, we're gonna witness a new era when it comes to how business is gonna be conducted. And it will all be to the better, really.
Inshallah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Fayez. Gentlemen, we see there are quite a few questions that are being asked by our audience here. And Ronaldo, would you like to read a few, please?
Yes, of course, I could jump in here. So quickly starting now, we have one from Mr. Omar Sayem, who says, on the point of the sensor and infrastructure that was built for previous eras of technology, how do you see the new infrastructure or systems should be with the power of the cloud?
Sure. I don't think Omar mentions who exactly he wants this question to be addressed by. Anyone from the panelists would like to volunteer for this?
I think maybe I can jump in as
Thank you. Yeah.
Even with the old sensor now, with the power of the industrial Internet of Things, and you can augment any of the old sensor to make it a smart asset, and with the power of the industrial Wi-Fi and the connected plants, you can just take all of this information, push it to the main data center, and analyze. Or actually, now with the edge computing, you can even put the analysis to be closer to the asset itself. So that's the power of the new era of technology.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mr. Eyad.
Wonderful. We'll move to the next couple of questions. I have around 8 questions that I see here, so we'll go one by one. I think, Mr. Yerem, you would be able to help out who would be answering these questions. Yeah.
Yep.
Quickly, we'll run in. We have Mr. Ryan, who says, what is the common factor between all of these companies or facilities when it comes to managing assets in COVID times versus normal times?
Okay, interesting. To be honest, I don't think I personally understood this question quite accurately. What's the common factor between all these companies? Maybe Mr. Ryan means the companies who are present here during this panel. So, dear panelists, anyone would like to contribute to answering to this question?
This is Majed. I think the word asset itself is the common thing between all of us. So we are all in the oil industry, and SABIC also, and we have similar assets, and the approaches to all of them are the same. We are not talking about aviation. We're talking about maybe for the Mr. Ryan and the audience over here, ARAMCO, if you allow me. Saudi Aramco, I believe, as ADNOC, they produce oil. In SATORP, we refine the oil. The gas, which is a production of ARAMCO, is consumed by SABIC in their petrochemical industry. I'm answering on behalf because I worked in those 2 locations. I believe ADNOC, I visited ENOC. I don't know about ADNOC. And for us, this is similar. There are a lot of commonalities around the approaches to the ABM and that. Aviation, definitely, none of us fly. ARAMCO, they have aviation, but I don't think it's covered under ABM. That answered the question correctly. Mr. Marwan, you would like to talk about ADNOC?
If I can add, the common factor is risk-based approach. Before COVID and after COVID, if you are willing to maximize your ROI, return of investment, you have to go through the risk-based approach, and then you have to prioritize your inspection and maintenance, because when you do the risk-based approach in any company, it means you are minimizing your shutdown periods, whether if it's planned shutdown or unexpected shutdown, unplanned shutdown. So this is my point of view as a common factor between all the companies is forget time-based. It's an old school now. Go for risk-based. Prioritize your inspection and maintenance of stream shutdowns, and prolong your life cycle, the life cycle of your assets. That's it.
Thanks very much, Mr. Marwan.
Thank you so much.
I can, Mr. Yerem, can I leave? And Ronald.
Sure,
yes, you did say you have a meeting. Although, Mr. Marwan, I see on the list the next question is addressed specifically for you. So if you could have 1 minute, please, if you could still have.
Okay, all right.
Sure,
thank you. Please read it out.
Another commitment, as I said before. Sorry for my apology.
Sure.
Yes, yes.
So the question.
So it says Mr. Marwan raises a really important discussion on the value of continuing to integrate the corporate IT with the operations, which is OT. We also know this has been a challenging, evolving topic for the last decade. How does this group of leaders see this evolving in 2021?
To be honest, this question has to be addressed to maybe Majed. He's the IT guy. Now, it's all about the mindset. As I said, we have to work together. And it's collaborative work between the IT and the APMs. And of course, in compliance with the country or the company or the country regulations. But this is now it's up to the leaders of IT, how they will deliver the IoTs, how they will make this happen. And for us as asset integrity, usually asset integrity, we are sort of supporters in any company. If it's an operating company producing oil, we are supporting producing oil by prolonging their requirements. If we are exporting gas or anything or developing polymers, asset integrity, usually we are support. We are service providers, to be a matter of speaking. IT the same. So we are, both of us, we are service providers towards one objective, which is for in my company is producing oil. So Majed, how can we help each other now as an IT? 2021, would you change the way you're thinking and you say, no, we cannot do this, we cannot do that, or you look ahead? And my ECB is calling me now.
No worries. Thank you so much. Definitely, it's a tango dance, if you allow me to say it. Okay, but the ICT practices are not applicable at the OT. That's where we've been grown and have it. So it need to be carefully articulated toward the convergence. In proof of values, yes, we need to work together. But for the ICT to expand its hand on the OT, it's not an easy. It's totally different area, totally different ball games. Yes, they are running Windows, but not the way that we are running it on a server. And the criticality over there is totally different from an ICT criticality. We need to do it. It's down the road. Yes, we have to do it. It's about the decision. If there is a will, there will be a way. Always like that. So, but it is for the ICT to understand and appreciate the OT, and we don't have to go always to the latest technologies and all of that stuff. And then you look at who's the best to take over. But keep in mind is the value that we need to create to the users. That's where we are.
That's awesome. I like the value part. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Majed.
Wonderful. I think we'll move on to the next question. Maybe I guess Mr. Abdullah can answer this. It says, knowing how technology rollouts take a long time in this industry, how do you ensure you're coping with the business demand in the appropriate speed?
All right. When we're talking about the oil and gas and petrochemical industry, we are lagging behind, honestly, when we compare it to other industries. So it is expected that we will take time until we adapt to the new technologies and, be more into the digital transformation. However, what I've seen in the past, let's say 9 months, I believe we have taken, so many steps toward the right direction. Obviously, it will take time, especially in the foundation phase, because so many of these, assets that we have, it is from the 1970s and 1980s. And it will take time to prepare the data, building the servers, trying to collect one single of truth of the data, and eventually been able to have a big data platform where we can do our artificial intelligence, machine learning work. So I believe that most of the companies in the past 3 years, even before COVID-19, they have started or they have done their foundation level. Some companies maybe are lagging behind, but hopefully by the end of this year, we see more of companies in the industry are done with the foundation layer, and we will try and move into the predictive and the analytics part of it.
Well said, Mr. Abdullah. Thank you so much for adding some insights there.
Sure.
So I will move on to the next question. I think this question would be for Mr. Eyad to better answer. Why digital transformation matters and what role that culture plays in establishing a successful digital transformation framework.
We said it loud and clear at the beginning of the meeting. I mean, without digital transformation, we will not be able to survive. It's not an option anymore. It's a must. It will help us in surviving whether we have a pandemic or not. And the role the culture plays is instrumental, actually, the change management. It's sometimes you can bring the best technology and without a proper change management, without involving the end users, without going through the fair practice of taking their requirement, addressing their pain areas, and showing them the value this technology is bringing, it will not be fully utilized. And this is what we have adopted, actually, is that in every project that we do, we put the change management as an instrumental component within the project, to ensure that any technology that is being introduced have went into several awareness, training, and most importantly, to show the value of this technology, how this technology is adding value to the organization, how it's optimizing the way that we do business, how we are moving away from collecting the data and to making decisions, providing the right user and the right time to make the right decision. All of these values are educated and are instrumented in the day-to-day business activity. Also, it's communicated and taken into consideration the requirement of all of these end users.
Rightly said, Mr. Eyad. In fact, I like the point where you said it. I mean, digital transformation has become inevitable now. It has to be adopted by all organizations across every sector as well. Thank you so much. We'll move on to the next question. It says, has the pandemic increased the pace of technology adoption in your company? Maybe this is a general question. I guess maybe Mr. Yerem can fill in here.
Yes, by all means. I can speak on behalf of some of the customers that we have worked with, and certainly on behalf of what we have heard from our respected panelists today. The pandemic has increased the pace of technology adoption. Now, the key way here, I mean, the key phrase here is that we've spoken a lot about being remote. We've given the example of Zoom that we're using right now. We've given the example of Teams that we're using right now. And I believe that the adoption happens, A, when the value is recognized, as Mr. Eyad and other panel members confirmed, and two, when technology can be delivered fully remotely. And that's the trick, because sometimes the technology itself cannot necessarily be delivered remotely. So we certainly do see an increasing expectation from vendors, not only from GE Digital, but from other vendors that our respected customers work for vendors to offer the deployment and the adoption services in a remote manner, because that's the only thing that can happen today. Everything else, not that can't, but it takes significantly more efforts. So that is certainly a trend and a pattern that we do see, and most likely most of the organizations will agree to that as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for adding value there. We have a next question from Mr. John, which says, when we look at performance management, can we say this COVID situation improved profitability, and how did we show resilience? Maybe Mr. Fayez can answer this question, sir.
Sure indeed. So the question again is, Did COVID show any profitability improvement
Correct.
in organizations, right?
Correct.
Despite the disruption that really COVID has caused everybody, I have to tell you that we have seen it. Initially, everybody thought it is going really to affect their profitability in their operation. Yet, what we have seen is the agility again and the fastness in performing the various work streams, various jobs and processes that we had to mitigate and sustain. Now, if we want to talk about the price of oil, for example, for our industry was hit badly during COVID due to the price of oil. We have lost a tremendous span of the profit due to that. Yet our operation itself, I really believe that people were able to cope up with this change, sudden change, and they created again unexpected ways to overcome and perform much more than what everybody has expected, really. So I would say again, I think there's lots of value we have gained during this tough and during this hardship time for our operation. Yet the prices of oil is down, and we really believe that when COVID is over with and the normal travel and normal transportation is back to normal, this will help picking up the price of oil to where it used to be.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much for adding your insight there. I really appreciate. So we have the last question for the day from Mr. Alabi. This is with respect to, I think Mr. Majed can answer this. I'll read out the question. With wide adoption of virtual works, how do we anticipate the possibility of cyber threat here?
How do we?
So
I'm reading the question. How do we, the possibility of the cyber threat?
Okay, I'll quickly run through the question once again. With wide adoption of
I can read it. Yes. I'm just
sure.
I'm just looking at it. I mean, you see, it's not anymore the cyber threat is the ICT. It's look. Let me put it this one, and I like really the notion of digital citizenship. It's already started here in Saudi Arabia. Now it's your identity and your privacy, your personal privacy. You need to put your limits. So it's not anymore the ICT. I have to protect the environment. I have to publish my environment in a protected way. But the weakest the part of the chain is the user himself. If you did put a weak password, if you disclose your password, or you don't cope with ICT, like clicking on all the equipments that we are, all the protection layers that we are putting still allow a kind of new things that could penetrate to our email. Then the user comes and say, fine, and I click on it, and then all of a sudden we are in front of a cyber attack because he thought, okay, maybe it's safe. No, excuse me, we gave all the trainings. But now it's not anymore within the company. Now, even for your kids, because if they are in the school, it's your family, it's your BDA devices. So the cybersecurity cannot be as a responsibility of somebody else. It's not anymore. The CISOs is not only them. So you can participate by browsing internet safely, adopting the new practices of the cybersecurity that keep published everywhere in the world. And this is the only way that we can overcome. As a result of COVID, we cannot close the internet. As well as we can't leave you in that situation. So let's join. It's really appreciated. I would like to use this platform to request everybody, let's be mature toward the cybersecurity, educate yourself, and practice safe digitalization, even to your personal life.
Thank you so much, Mr. Majed. And talking about training and education as well, I mean, I would like to add something from my end. So I was working with this previous organization. It's called EC Council. Like I guess everyone was aware. They are the creators of CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker Program. So when we joined in, I mean, we basically from the sales and marketing team, we had to go through a certain exam which says CSCU, Certified Secure Computer User. So we had to pass the exam in order for us to get onto the floor. And this basically had very generic questions. How do you open an email? How do you find an email is phishing or not? So a couple of basic details that we need to fill in. And I understand organizations have been doing these practices, even let it be smaller organizations, larger organizations as well. And as you rightly said, I mean, it has to come from the individual to educate, learn, and train, and put this as practice in the organization too.
And even with this kind of a practice, as I have seen, still when you run a trial of phishing emails, you still find people fall because of that.
Right. Agree. Rightly true. Agree.
Excuse me, that's all.
Thank you so much, sir. I think Yerem, you have anything else to add on to this to sum this up once again?
Well, I just wanted to build on top of things that were discussed. And Majed, thank you for highlighting the cybersecurity risks. Cybersecurity is also part of this conference, and at the same time, the asset management is also an angle that we've been seeing. So I just wanted to give an advice to everyone, I guess, attending also this conference is be careful and look out for your bad actors, the assets that cause potential risks to your operations. Those are the ones that will cause you trouble if you don't look at them in a sustainable manner, in the manner of the resilient approach, in the matter of careful risk assessment and prioritization. This is something that's going to help you prevent any losses and any future events. And of course, be sure to utilize the right technology that will help you automate these processes and join them all together and make sure all the data points and all the elements are joined to make sure that we have a resilient and safe future for our operations. I guess this is it at this point of time, and we're actually slightly over the time for this conference, and I still see that the majority of attendees are still with us. That means that what we were discussing here, gentlemen, was very interesting for everyone, and I certainly enjoyed it. And I would like to express my deep gratitude and thank you to each and every single one of you, Mr. Majed, Mr. Fayez, Mr. Marwan, Mr. Eyad, and Mr. Abdullah, and of course, Mr. Ronaldo and Mr. Roman for making this event happen. I personally enjoyed this last couple of hours of this discussion, and I learned a lot from you guys. I've taken notes. I've taken notes on some of the things that you've said, and these were very good notes and very good data points. Thank you very much, everyone, for your active participation. It has been my pleasure.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It was a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I have Mr. Roman Matthew who would do like a couple of closing messages here, and then we will conclude the session. Roman, on to you.
Finally, we have come to the end of the event, AMACS 2020, the premier virtual event on asset management, automation, and cybersecurity. And we have had some really great knowledge sharing sessions, top quality speakers, and thought-provoking questions from the audience. Amazing support from the sponsors and partners. And as it is said, every drop makes an ocean. So is the case with a successful event. Without the contribution from every single participant, it would not have been possible for Aldrich to deliver such an amazing event for the benefit of the industry. And I want to thank each and every sponsor, partner, panelist, attendee from the bottom of my heart for their contribution. And we look forward to work with you all again. And I also want to thank my team in Aldrich, Ronaldo, Arjun, and all the people behind who have worked for it, for the smooth execution of the event, without whom it would not have been possible. And we would also like to send a feedback email to you. Please feel free to let us know your thoughts on how we can deliver you more in a better way and help you in your knowledge expansion and business networking, even in this time of COVID-19. And we are here to serve you, and your feedback and opinion is important for us to serve you in a better way. Thank you so much, and stay safe till we meet back again in the next virtual or physical event. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Roman, for
Thank
your
you very
kind
much.
And I thank all on my behalf as well, on behalf of Aldrich again, once again. Thank you for all for contributing here, taking the time out. I know extensively I've been reaching out to you guys, bugging you guys on emails and messages. I'm so sorry about it, but I mean, to put all this together, it needed some effort. And thank you once again, everyone, for joining. And I will call it a day now. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thanks very much.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.